No, go ahead. What was that?
Nothing. That would have been the perfect time to make fun of you.
Well, I'm sure you do anyway.
I squandered my opportunity.
And I just unplugged my headphones there for just a brief second. Just a moment in time.
Just a moment in time.
All right. Remind me to tell you something later. Now you've gone live, I can't say it.
Remind me to tell me something later.
Okay, yeah.
Come on, you knew that was coming. Cracker?
Oh, thanks. I'm driving.
Polly, want a cracker? That's my parrot sound. If you didn't catch it. The show will be starting in 1 minute. Please keep all arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. And then, the whole little spiel. Oh, I told Alex today, but I made a Christmas jingle for Joffrey's today.
Christmas jingle for Joffrey's already? I mean, seriously, we're already talking about Christmas jingles?
You have to. I want to be on top of the ball because I don't want Christmas to sneak up on, just, oh no, where did it come from? It's Christmas. We all know how that works.
Really? You already want to get Christmas stuff?
Listen, right after Halloween, I'd put Christmas stuff up. But I'm also not a fan of the Thanksgiving season. Personal. I don't like it.
I don't know. I like Thanksgiving, but that's a whole different story altogether.
Do ya? Now. This is going to be another show that you're going to have to pull the audio from, right?
That's fine. I seem to have it down to a science now.
Yeah, I like it easy.
Science!
It's easy on me. I just do 3 buttons and boom, it's done.
Science! Sorry, I just had to. Every time you say science, I just think that's cool.
We are Sparta!
What?
No relevance, but I always like that line in the movie.
I'm thinking to myself, what?
That's how I get ready for the show. You know how else I get ready for the show?
I've never heard you do that for the show.
I do it in my head.
Oh, okay. But what else do you do before the show?
I like to think about Disney, but sometimes before the show, I plan imaginary trips. But maybe once in a while, you're getting ready to plan a real trip. Well, why don't you head over to Fantastic Memories Travel, but specifically use their Mouse Master Travel Group. What this is it's a travel agency directly based on Disney. Anything you want to do, ADRs, fast passes, room rates, they take care of it all. That's mousemastertravel.com. And let them handle all the boring stuff. Who really wants to set an alarm clock for 2 a.m. to wake up to try to get Cinderella's royal table? Not me. And I know not you. But they'll do it for you for free. It's all part of going through them. Head on over to mousemastertravel.com. But while you're there, don't forget to tell them Behind the Ears podcast sent you. Maybe you just got back from Disney. Or maybe you're like me and, you have a trip coming, but you just need that little bit of Disney in your life before you get there. Well, head on over to mickeymonthly.com. What is Mickey Monthly, you might ask? Well, they bring you a surprise box of Disney goodies direct from the parks, each month. They curate these perfect custom boxes for your family, including Disney trading pins. They have Main Street snacks, and they even have authentic Disney Park merchandise. Here's the fun part. Packages start at only $7, so you can cure those Disney blues, those Disney withdrawals today by simply heading over to mickeymonthly.com. But on this day only, you could save an additional 35% off by using our special promo code RADIO35. That's RADIO 35. Once again, that's mickeymonthly.com. A lot of streamers have been taking over the internet lately. You see that our podcast has turned into us streaming. Well, for $5 a month, you get a little bit extra here. you could become a VIP member of Streaming the Magic. What does that VIP membership get you? Well, it gets you exclusive streams only for the VIP members, anywhere from inside the parks, from restaurants to shops to resorts to rides to walking around, anything you could think of, they stream it for you. But you also get a special show once a week with Behind the Ears podcast. What's better than that? Are you a VIP member yet? If not, what are you waiting for? It's only $5 a month. Head on over to Streaming the Magic and become a VIP member. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Streaming the Magic proudly brings to you a Behind the Ears podcast. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. I am Uncle Danny. That is Mr. Chris. Mr. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing fine. F-I-N-E, fine. Or P-H-I-N-E. Is that also fine? That's fine.
I mean, we can make it fun.
Fine. I'm doing good. I woke up this morning thinking though today was Wednesday, which was kind of a bummer because it's actually Tuesday. But you know what? Other than that, I'm actually doing pretty good. I've been, during my lunch break, and if I get 2 extra minutes, I was kind of reading a lot of different things about, I'll say survival stories over at Irma, over in regards to Irma, seeing some pictures of people dodging a bullet and some people who got hit pretty darn hard. I actually have, I have 3 friends of mine in this. One is down near Miami. 2 are in the Orlando area. All 3 of them do not have power as of today. Still, a couple of them are directly on part of my team. One was a team member of mine I still stay in touch with. And one person actually said they have no idea when they're going to get power back, versus one person actually said, yeah, I think we're going to camp out at the local racetrack gas station because they have free Wi-Fi and electricity and seating, so you can grab grab the 2-for-2 roller dogs, and a soda and use Wi-Fi for a few hours. I'm like, that's dedication. If you're out, if you're out and about, you don't have power at your house, you might as well go ahead and hang out at a gas station. That's dedication to the cause, folks.
I mean, I guess there's worse places you could be. If anybody was in the Florida area, whether you're a Florida resident or just happen to be down there during that time, you want to come on, just a few minutes, just put on a pair of headphones. If you go over to the Disney community page, the Behind the Ears podcast page, Streaming the Magic page, just look for it. We threw a link up there. If anybody would like to join, come on in. I know we have one guest waiting at the bottom here, but before we really dive into that, we wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping to get some stuff out there. First off, we're glad that, everyone that we know immediately was safe. It was a little touch and go there once the once the towers went out there, got a little nervous, but we're glad everybody was able to get through. And, listen, I've seen some pictures of some of our people in our community who lost part of their homes. And I know that is crazy to think, but at the same time, it could have been a lot worse than just losing, the home. Hopefully you guys got out there the few valuables that you needed, things that can't be replaced. But on to some brighter news here. We opened up our shop today. Yay! Mark the date. September 12th was the official date. If you head on over to the Disney community page, you'll see a link there. But the easiest way is just keep going back to the community page or go to any of the other pages you find us at, Streaming the Magic. You'll see the link in there. But the Disney community Facebook page actually has a link that is pinned right to the top. Right now, the only offer we have for everybody is that Give Kids the World t-shirt. You might say to yourself, what does this Give the World t-shirt? Well, during our marathon show, we were doing we were selling a shirt. It's a design of the Great Movie Ride billboard with our name and our logo and, Give Kids the World at the bottom. Why was it for Give Kids the World? Well, 100% of the proceeds of this shirt will be going directly back to Give Kids the World. We are not taking a penny from it. Shirts, about $20 for a t-shirt. I think a men's sweatshirt's like $25, women's tank top $25, women's t-shirt $20. I'm pretty sure if you use the slowest shipping, you're looking at about $5 to ship. And that's just where we're going to start. We wanted to get that one out to you. We do apologize to everybody who did pre-order one before, and we had a little snag with our distributor, but we fixed all that. and we found a very reliable distributor. We're very happy with them. So, fingers crossed that we can have a long-term relationship with them and we can keep giving you guys some amazing stuff. On that note, we will be putting out some of our logo wear in the very near future, hopefully by the end of the week. And hopefully very soon we will be putting out our first edition of our clothing line, which is, going to be a fun t-shirt, hopefully every month for everybody to really enjoy. Chris?
Yeah, on top of that, first off, we would actually ask that everybody who would like one of the shirts from the marathons with proceeds going to Give Kids the World, that you please order your shorts.
We don't have shorts.
We don't have shorts. Order your shirts before the end of September, because then we'll go ahead and put that aside. We will archive it. But that is kind of when we're going to take that off the market. So it is going to be a limited edition shirt.
Yeah, this will never be re-released.
Yeah, this is a once in a lifetime thing. But hey, you know what? If you didn't get a chance to donate to Give Kids the World, this is just one of those, another way to get it. You're going to get a shirt out of it. It's going to be really cool. Also, do we want, I'll also say that earlier on the Disney community page, I kind of also put a little bit of a feeler out there, and hopefully within the next few days, maybe by the weekend, we're also going to have a limited edition polo shirt that is going to be available. Oh, nice hat. I like that.
Well, Tracy was saying we both wear hats. Why don't we make them? We did, just for us, though.
Yeah, we did. Those are extraordinarily limited edition, and I don't think you want us to give you them. No. But we're going to have a limited edition polo shirt with our logo on it. And there's more information on the Disney Community Facebook page for that. And as soon as that becomes available, I'll go ahead and post that out. That's going to be one of those types of shirts that you'll order, and I'm going to give everybody maybe a week to 10 days to put in their order. I then will bulk order the shirts, and then they'll get shipped to me as a full order, which I know they take about 2 weeks for them to process the order. And from there, I will ship them on to those who purchase them. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but these are really nice wick away type of shirts. I love my shirt. I even wear it at Disney. It's nice and it's cool. It's lightweight, and yet it feels really, really good. And for those of you that saw us over at the Indie Disney Meet, that was the shirt that I was actually wearing all day long, and I was really super comfortable in it. It's going to be a limited edition. Maybe we may or may not bring it back in the future. But so far we have some good responses as to people who want that, and we're going to make it off. We're going to make it offered to them, and we hope that you consider that. Danny, do we want to mention the one last item that we're going to put out there right now?
Yeah, let's get it over with.
Okay, so here's the deal. You guys,
why are you yelling?
Why am I yelling? Hey, everybody. Don't tell anybody. But we got buttons. Yeah, that's right. We got buttons like that.
And they're on sale.
Right now, here's the deal. If you go out to the Behind the Ears podcast page and you go out to our store, I've got 9 sets of buttons. That's right. We are selling these 2 for $4. Normally it's 2 for $5. 2 for $4 shipped. All shipping included. I right now have 9 pairs, 18 buttons. And you put one order, it's going to give you 2 buttons. And once we sell out of those, we are actually ordering more of those. So I'm just kind of all set up right now, but it's going to take us a couple days to get the order in. So if for some reason it shows sold out, it won't be very long. Yep. So you can go out there and you can order these right now. So
we're literally ordering another batch of buttons right after the show.
Yeah, like literally right after the show. We'll actually have them in a couple days because our vendor for these buttons are awesome. I mean, they're just really great people. Based out of Ohio, completely American made. What can you say? But seriously, $4, couple buttons. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah, and the sale only runs until we run out of those 9 pairs. So after that, you're going to pay the $5. So if you're smart and you want to save a couple pennies, run over now and you get them 2 for $4.
You could do that. I will tell you this. I actually have my packing material arriving on Thursday. If they sell out by then, I will go ahead and have them in the mail either Friday or Saturday to everybody who gets them. And as I said, it's $4, shipping included, for 2 buttons. That's a really cool deal right there. Yeah. And as I said, we'll probably have more later, but you may not get the sale price. You may. It depends if Danny and I are feeling generous. Who knows? So, but really, actually, good quality buttons. People seem to have really liked them. But we just want to share these up with you guys. So that's it. I mean, our store is getting going, and please understand one thing. Yes, for every store, with the exception for the store purchase, with the exception of the marathon show shirts, the proceeds do go help to pay the expenses that we have for doing our show. We're really not pocketing any of the money. It's going back into the cost that goes into this. We are not going to be going to Disney World anytime soon on this. We're just trying to pay our expenses. We want to give you the highest quality product. We want you to enjoy them. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email, behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. We will be more than happy to answer any questions for you. But we're going to be totally transparent with you. This is going to go help pay for some of the things for the show. And instead of, instead of just asking for money, we're going to give you something in return. And we have really worked hard to try to find the best quality stuff for you. So what are you doing?
Trying to figure out where that light, if it's my computer that's making him glare. Sorry.
I'm thinking to myself,
squirrel. It was a legitimate squirrel moment.
I like John. John's already getting on my good side when he said, "Hey, how about an autographed picture of the two of you?" You know what? We may have to do that, but we may have to do that at the Indie Disney meet next year. People might have to come and just do that. So
we'll figure it out. But we had a lot of cool stuff to announce to you. We're super excited for everything going on. But, let's get back to the main topic here. And that was, I can't find the buttons on the page order. Okay, I knew this was going to happen. So go to Behind the Ears Podcast. It's not on the Disney community. The Behind the Ears Podcast page. When you're looking at the page, it'll be on the left-hand side. It will say Shop. You click the little Shop button, and there's the buttons. I would screen share, but they can't. It's just too many buttons to press right now. If anybody has any problems, we will make sure at the end of it we'll go through everything once again. But we do have one of our listeners who is kind of hanging out here, and we don't want to keep him waiting any longer. He has been on the show several times in the past week. He has become our local correspondent down in Florida. That is right, Mr. Brian. Brian, how are you doing on this fine evening?
I'm good. How are you?
Just peachy.
Can you hear me fine? I'm trying the temporary microphone. I figured out my problem. But I can't fix it till Amazon starts working again.
Yes, right. Because Amazon has actually suspended deliveries down to the Orlando area for the time being, haven't they?
Yeah, you can't get anything down here till maybe middle of next week.
Oh man, and I know that's taking into consideration. I placed 2 Amazon orders alone today. I don't know. That would drive me up a wall. Brian, first off, thanks again for joining us. Just really quick, how did you fare the storm? How did everything go for you?
Overall, okay. Lost the tree, which took out a fence, which took out the irrigation system.
Oh no!
But my AC got missed, so I'm fine. A couple roof tiles, some soffit vents, which pretty much is the story of everyone. A lot of trees fell, a lot of branches fell. Some soffit vents, some roof tiles, and I'd say that's the majority of the non-coastal problems.
From what you know, and from what the weather people have said, did you actually experience time inside the eye of the storm, and were you on that edge of the eye, or did it kind of skirt you to one side or the other?
The eye definitely passed. It wasn't as long as the people in Polk County. Polk County is where Legoland is.
Okay.
They're also in much worse shape. But we got more of the edge winds because we didn't get too much eye. But it's roughly where it ended up. At first, I
Okay.
didn't realize it was it, but then once you realize that the noise of the wind changed, it was very quick to tell that it was the eye.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like a very distinctive, kind of odd sound. It's like, oh, wait, what? Especially after you've been hearing it against your house for so much. So with that being said, have you been able to get out into the general area to see how other people have dealt with, or have you even been to the have you been to the parks yet or anything like that? I mean, what have you witnessed?
I did a quick drive around property, not really stopping anywhere last night. I skirted through Epcot real quick when it first opened, but I had to get back home for work. And then I just came back from a trip going the other direction about a half hour ago. And I guess the easiest way to put it, if you're staying off-site or you are planning more of a Central Florida trip and you're about to come, you might want to call and make sure stuff is still open and available. For example, Orlando does not have power. The actual city of Orlando. Kissimmee doesn't have power. Windermere, which is north of property, doesn't have power. There's a really good chance the restaurant next to the hotel you're staying at doesn't have power, so they're not open yet.
So we're talking about major chunks of the grid that are currently dark.
Yeah. You go outside and it's like, wow, I've never driven on this road without streetlights before.
And I think that's what I think that's one of the reasons why I asked that kind of question, is because I don't think people realize how widespread the power outages are. Because, like, in my area, generally speaking, if the power goes out where I'm at, there are other parts of my town where it's going to be on because we're in different parts of the grid. But we are talking about massive parts of cities, massive parts of each individual power grid that are actually still down, and they still are saying that it can take anywhere for a couple more days to a couple more weeks before power is actually restored.
There's some areas that are going to be months because they've lost the entire power grid. They got to rebuild it.
Oh, holy crap!
Yeah, they're basically redesigning a whole new grid.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's not a little bit out. A good example is anyone's been to Magic Kingdom. You kind of look to the east and you can see the Orlando Eye in the background.
yes.
There's no Orlando Eye right now in the background.
The Orlando Eye is shut, closed.
Yeah, but it's also dark. The lights.
No, that's what I meant. I'm getting so wow. That's intense, man.
Yeah, but there's a lot. I mean, I guess a good way to describe it is half of Florida, and I don't mean half of Central Florida. I mean half of Florida doesn't have power.
I heard that. I think your governor mentioned that it was like 65% of the state is currently dark.
That's probably fairly accurate because there are some major towns. Once Orlando comes back in, that number will dramatically shrink.
Yeah, a true story, a true point. I mean, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I have 3 of my teammates that are scattered throughout the state. All 3 of them don't have power. And it seems to be very limited in what they can or cannot do. And what's bad for them is all 3 of them work from home. So it's kind of like they require that power in order to be productive. But I told them, hey guys, not being able to get into work right now is the least of your problems. Please take care of yourself and your families. We'll cover you guys. Don't worry about it. That type of thing. Wow.
Yeah, death toll is also very quickly climbing from people who don't understand how to use a generator.
Yeah, I know people that have. I know that there are some people that I know that have been in that type of situation, and it was very tragic. Especially if they think, "Oh, I'll just plug this here, and it'll work."
Mm-hmm.
The answer is no. So that's really intense. And I'm sorry to even hear that, but
we dealt with that up here during Sandy, though. People made it through the storm, but later perished because of not knowing proper ways to run generators. Would just put them in their garage because they didn't want them to get wet, and they would run with the garage door shut.
Carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, I mean.
I'd say there's been about 5. Like basically every time you turn on the TV. So normally news is like every 4 or 5 hours. There's like a news program somewhere, and they all lead off with 2 more carbon monoxide, rushes to the hospital, a couple more deaths. Stop, move the generator away. Don't put that in your garage.
Wow.
Few people who stepped in water not realizing there was an electrical cord in it with them.
That's a tough one. If you're not,
Gosh, I never would have thought of that. I mean, I have a generator myself that I don't plug it into my house's grid. I plug it into certain individual items like I have a couple sump pumps, a freezer, and a fridge is what I mainly focus on. But I have direct wires that go to those particular devices. But yeah, I can see where that would be. Yeah, stepping in a puddle with a live wire, and all it takes is the most minute crack in that insulation for it to transfer, and you get the jolt that you'll never recover from.
Yeah, I mean, you're even having, like people were talking in that conversation. I had talked many times with Alex about it. A lot of, we're talking, if major cities are out or major areas of a city are out, it means the power, the traffic lights are out, which then becomes an absolute mess because now it's a 4-way stop. Well, is everybody else, considering it a 4-way stop? Are people doing the proper, everybody to their left, you just rotate all the way around? No, it doesn't. They don't do it like that, and we all know that.
They've actually been running into some problems and mentioned it on the news that there's some intersections where it's actually lights in both counties, and one county works and the other one doesn't. So some people go up treating it like a 4-way, and the other people are going green.
Oh
wow,
that's a problem.
That's it's like you have to stop and just ask yourself: is that a design problem or an implementation problem? It's like, oops.
Yeah, and unlike New Jersey, police cars can't run the stop sign.
Oh no!
So I don't know if I thought that was just a widespread thing.
So did I.
Chris, if you don't know, every cop car can run and power a stop sign. So if there's a stop sign out, they don't sit there flagging you. They actually plug into the stoplights and run them.
Oh wow,
that's cool.
that's not something that we see around here, but that is actually really pretty cool.
Yeah, it seems to be a New Jersey thing.
That would be tough, though. I mean, it would be tough in Jersey up north, but down in Florida, there's a lot of traffic lights. I mean, you go to center, you go to where Disney is. Just think about it over by Hotel Road? No, World Drive. Right. Think about how many lights you have in that general area. There's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of manpower. I mean, I guess you would just try to pick the most populated areas and run it that way.
Well, right there, what you're seeing is there's 2 cop cars every major intersection, just with their lights on, so there's an intersection.
Oh, okay,
makes sense. Especially
that's what it looks like driving around here.
Especially if it's pitch black dark outside, I can see where that would be, a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was, obviously when you go on the news or you go on the internet, you type it in, they're going to show you the most devastated areas. The Keys got hit extremely bad. I know Tampa got hit pretty rough when they weren't even really expecting it until the day before when Irma turned a little bit. I was actually just watching a feed. They were showing a picture of what Jacksonville looks like, their little downtown area compared to what it normally is and how high they've taken on flood water. And then, the big thing is obviously, with that much rain comes saturation in the ground and then winds. What's going to happen? Those big trees are going to come down. So let's move the topic over to Disney World. We did see the parks reopen this morning. There was a list of rides that did not open immediately. Big Thunder Mountain was on that list, but which later did open only about an hour and 10 minutes after the park opened. But I was wondering if anybody, Brian, if you know how Animal Kingdom fared through this.
Well, I think it's basically the same because if you actually look at what rides were closed, they're rides that have trees involved.
Yeah.
So Big Thunder, you have the trees that are right next to the railroad that help block it a little bit. So I think a good picture that summarizes it is someone put up a picture of a tree down in front of Cinderella Castle.
Oh, wow. One of those trees in the courtyard fell. I did not know that.
Actually, it wasn't the courtyard. It was more like over the moat right next to where you walk in.
Okay.
The ones that hide where the projectors are.
Oh, okay.
And the lighting. So, I mean, that's a pretty good example. They got the parks open, but didn't have time to address that tree in front of the Ricon.
Wow.
So they basically cleared debris, figured out what was safe, and opened. So Animal Kingdom, To be honest with you, that's probably what I'm going to run through probably tomorrow because I'm kind of curious myself. There is a lot of trees there.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I saw someone that actually started some of the cleanup process last night, and they were talking about how at Animal Kingdom, I mean, obviously it's very well, covered by trees and bushes and this, that, and the other, and it seems like there was a lot of. I think about it, even if it's just leaves that have come away from its branches. I mean, it was very well covered, and Disney's really well known of trying to really keep those pathways, clear of any debris, because that debris becomes, slip and fall type of risks and so on and so forth. Even if you just dealt with that, it would have been a huge cleanup.
Yeah. Well, I know the typical things were down. Railroad was down. Jungle Cruise was down. Big Thunder Mountain was down. Oh man. But like Brian said, it was rides that have issues with trees going next to them. Yeah. I really hope that the railroad didn't take, the railroad itself didn't take any substantial damage. I mean, I think we would have heard it by now, but maybe not. Only because think about how long that ride was down for.
I think the railroad needs a bigger inspection because when you start getting trees falling and ground moving, that you probably have to check the track.
Yeah.
Very, very detailed.
Yeah, and I think that's also the same reason why they're having an extended, I'll say an extended delay in the sense of reopening like Fort Wilderness. In fact, Brian, you made a comment earlier that made total complete sense. There's a lot of trees, and not only do you have to clear the debris, but you have to make sure that trees themselves were not damaged, that they may look fine, but winds of that type can actually weaken trees, and they may be fine, but you can get a breeze half as intense, or even in 30, 40 mile an hour range, a good solid breeze, and all of a sudden you're going to experience.
Trees are done falling.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to that, just the wetness of the ground. And I mean, those trees are heavy. Just one good gust, and it's all downhill from there. So if you want to just send us a message tomorrow, because I would love to know how Animal Kingdom really fared with that. Obviously, the new structure, inside Pandora would be nice. Also, like we talked about, there's so many trees over on that safari. I'm just kind of wondering. Tracy wants to know, aren't they closing the railroad to move the track for Tron? I thought by the design of it looked like Tron was going over the railroad. Does anybody else remember that?
It did. It kind of looked that way to me, at least from what I recall. At some
point, they're going to have to close it, the crane over it.
Absolutely. Because I remember when we first heard about it, it was the discussion of, well, what happens? Because that's that stretch where it starts to get going, and the conductor's usually blowing the horn, and the smoke is piling out of the train at that moment. Now you're going to be going basically into a building. Now, granted, it's an open air building, but it's still going to be caught up inside of that building. So I'm just curious to see how that. But I mean, that's a conversation to another day.
Yeah.
But so everything was good around you guys. I mean, I know you had some minor issues, but I mean, nothing. It didn't look like anything too crazy.
I mean, overall, it's okay. I mean, a lot of power outages. So a couple. My town is fairly okay. There was one neighborhood that lost every tree, but majority of them fell into the street and not the houses. And the ones that did fall towards the house, just missed the houses.
Oh, good.
So, and it's just the normal wind stuff. A good example is if you just looked at all the Disney prep stuff, like Disney takes the canopies off the temporary tents. And I don't know what you'd call them.
That's basically the canopy awnings and things like that. And
and everyone that didn't, their awning is now on the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw how Disney took all of those off, and they also wrapped different pieces of glass
the light fixtures.
I thought that was so cool. I never would have thought of that. And also, if you in some places where they had an external, outdoor ceiling fan, they would strap it down equally so that it wouldn't really sway too much in the wind.
See, you thought it was cool. I thought that was silly, and I use the word silly because I can't think of a better terminology at this moment. Wrapping them in silicone wrap, those lights, talking about 100+ mile an hour winds. Is that really going to keep it from jarring apart and cracking?
Well, that's to stop the water from going into it.
But it's also there not just to do that, but it's also to contain it. So if it does break or shatter or something like that, it's going to contain it in there and not all of a sudden have shards of glass flying at 100 miles an hour. So it's a little bit of both. I mean, sometimes it's not just to protect, but like Brian said, to protect from water possibly, but it's also to help contain damage so that it doesn't fly around and possibly hurt somebody that is, flying around. It just makes it easier to clean up then too, if you think about it. Yeah. Yeah,
I didn't look at it that way. I more looked at it like that's not going to stop them. Like that wind is going to.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's just mitigating risk versus trying to mitigate damage.
You know what I was kind of sad about? I'm sorry, Brian. Please go ahead.
I was going to say some of them are just also holding some like packing material, so if they did break free and hit something, they might survive.
Okay. All right. I was a little sad to see that Polly lost that tree.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that tree. I believe there was another tree. It was either at, it was another big tree. I think it was over at like the beach club that totally got uprooted. I mean, there were some pretty significant trees that, went down. I know there was a tree that went down in one of the savannas over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. And I'm sure that these are just things that we saw, and I'm sure there was a lot more. But and there was trees, obviously, in some of the roadways, etc. The fact of the matter is that it looks like Disney only got, I guess you could call it minor damage in comparison to a lot of other people. There were some people that had to deal with, maybe some shingles flew off. I saw some of that, some of those issues, but no like chunks of roof fell off. Obviously trees, limbs, tree limbs, full trees, branches, those sorts of things. There was a little bit of flooding at Epcot, which, just needed some time to secede a little bit. I saw someone said some of the lobby area over at Animal Kingdom Lodge flooded. Now I kind of chuckled when I saw that because when I was there at least on the Kidani Village side, we had some pretty significant rain and winds just in July. And some of the water was actually coming in from some of the viewing area patios. So I don't know if they were considering that. I'm thinking to myself, kind of expected it. It's one of those things.
Well, the campgrounds they're still shut down currently, right?
They're still shut down. Now, here's the thing. There were a couple of people that were kind of wondering about what was going on with the campground because they're actually going there this weekend. There's been no official word as of right now, as you and I talk, three of us talk. There's been no official word. I've heard a couple things like Sunday that they may reopen. There's a rumor going around that it just irritates me big time, saying that because they think that the initial estimate for the damage at Fort Wilderness is going to be over $1 million, that they're going to permanently close it. Come on, really? Are people really believing this stuff?
Is that just due to all the trees that probably came down at that particular?
Probably, but the thing is there $1 million worth of damage? Heck, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's not cheap to replace trees and to clean up, or maybe there was damage to some of the other buildings that are out there, the cabins or what have you. But for someone to start a rumor on that, and it started spreading already this evening, and I'm like, give me a break. Just stop.
I haven't seen that.
I saw it in like 3 different places. Just don't even acknowledge it. Just keep scrolling by.
$1 million isn't a close something. That's how much they make off Whoop-De-Doo in a week.
Exactly. I was waiting for that.
I'm thinking to myself, for $1 million. Yeah, I'm sure they probably have some credit cards that have $1 million limit to fix things in an emergency. So I mean,
they have more than that on those credit cards.
So it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm venting. I'm just saying.
Brian, how'd your daughter make out at Universal?
Pretty good. She actually ended up coming home for the weekend. I heard a rough number of how many people showed up on, was it Saturday was the last day? I can't believe that number.
Okay.
there might be more people watching your show right now, but that's an exaggeration. But no, it was dead. They sent her home a little early. She kind of camped out. She was fascinated by the tree that fell.
Okay. But the funny thing is, though, Disney still, I mean, granted, Disney wasn't packed by any stretch of the imagination, but there were still people in that park at like 4 o'clock.
That was a much bigger crowd than I thought. People really went out and used it. And I think part of it had to do with the fact that it almost did a full day. Usually what you do is the hurricane's coming that night, and you get like 6-7 hours in the morning, and they close by somewhere between noon and 2. That's when people tend to not come. But no, there was still 30-40 minute. Some rides were 30-40 minutes. There was some South American tour group that had to be at least 1,000 people, split up into like 10 tour groups. And if you got stuck behind them, you were going to wait a while.
Wow.
So basically, you ran off and did all the other rides, come back, and hopefully they were done with the ride.
Yeah, we were all seeing, like, the people that were there were saying, "Oh my gosh, look at there's like no wait." Disney was really taking care of people that were at the parks and so on and so forth. I mean, it was really pretty cool. But I'll go ahead and say this. I knew this was going to happen, but I'll say this in 2 parts. One, from the videos that we saw, it seems like Disney really did a fantastic job at trying to communicate with its guests, trying to set some expectations, which I think they learned from last year. Trying to get, things taken care of.
No, I agree with that. They definitely were much better at you need food.
Yeah, you need food. Go down there at this particular time. Please, please, please be prepared. And I think out of 100 people that would respond, 99 of them said it was great. They did a great job. I couldn't believe I still saw people whining, moaning, and groaning about how it was handled. It's like, really? You were told that you need to take back some non-perishable items. They had things set up so that you can prepare yourself in the way you want to be prepared. And I thought it was really well done. And they set expectations even after the storm passed, such as, hey, you're still under curfew. Stay in your rooms. Stay in your resorts. And, there's going to be limited services. There's going to be limited housekeeping. And I actually saw someone today. Actually, it was just a little bit before the show. Someone complained.
Housekeeping one about the bed being made.
Yeah, but my bed wasn't made. Oh, why? I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, people, you guys just survived a pretty significant storm. You don't realize it.
Bed.
It's like I got frustrated for Disney on that one, and I call it like I see it, but goodness gracious, there are still people without power. People who work there and live there. Not everybody lives under the Disney bubble. I mean, yes, Disney didn't lose power or anything like that. I understand that, but I just got really, really frustrated when I saw things like that. I'm like, you know what? Is it really going to matter? Is it really? I mean, they got fresh towels and toiletries placed in their bed, but the bed wasn't made. Hey, I'd be happy for their fresh toiletries.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't make my bed at home either.
I saw that.
The one thing that really impressed me is probably about dinner time. So like somewhere in the last couple hours or the last 3-4 hours on Magic Kingdom, suddenly the hub, the way out on the other side of the exit and right in front of the monorail and the buses was just nonstop carts of just water, popcorn, things that you could bring back to your room as water and snacks.
Oh, that's so nice of them.
That's really cool. And at the same time, I mean, I saw that they even had like at Animal Kingdom that like they had a Boma buffet for $20.
Wow.
One of the evenings, and it was just like, that's fabulous. They were trying to get people fat and happy.
But, Fort Wilderness did some cool stuff. I don't know if you saw it. So when you're in the main lobby of Fort Wilderness where the concierge long desk and check-in is, there's that little round back part. Well, they had like a half wall up, and they actually turned it into a mini bar where they were serving alcohol from the front desk.
That was at
That wasn't Wilderness Lodge?
No, you said Fort Wilderness, but I
Oh
think
no,
you
Wilderness
meant
Lodge. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool. I've seen pictures where they had Pluto and Minnie checking people in and out. Once again, Wilderness Lodge. I think they had Chippendale come and do like a little show.
I think it was Yacht Club.
Yacht Club too.
Yeah. I mean, they did. Disney did a great job at showing all the different things that people can do, inside the resort to try to entertain.
Oh yeah, Alex called me up and said next time there's a hurricane, you're flying down. We're going to Disney so we can check out all the cool stuff they do.
And the thing is, I love that idea, but I would never really want to be stuck in a hurricane. Period. I've done it before.
I was trying to bite my tongue last week saying that, because if it was a little bit smaller of a storm, I probably would have been like, you really don't know what's happened. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But you don't want people running down into this at the same time.
Well, and I have to agree. Us three had conversations off. I can say it now. Obviously, being on air, I want to tell people to stay safe and not do something stupid.
Right.
Obviously, but as a person, no, I'm the guy that stands outside and granted, I've never been in a Category 5 storm or a 4 storm. I've been very close to it. I've been in a 3 where I've been outside. That's just, I'm crazy. I get adrenaline rushes off of unreal situations like that. And I know there are other people out there. I'm not alone on that, but I would never want to tell someone, yeah, it's okay to go stand outside Category 5. Like that's.
Well, but here's also the part of it. People were like, well, should I be coming down? I'm driving down on Tuesday. Should I? And, I threw out some things out there in the community page, but basically saying, hey, listen, the storm may be gone. People are starting to recover. Those people that, cause massive traffic jams for tens and 20s and hundreds of miles are all going to have to start coming back to Florida sooner or later. And the demand for fuel as well as, road space is going to be limited.
And a lot like Sandy in New Jersey, there's a lot of gas stations that have gas, but no power to pump it for you.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's a problem too. And the thing is that this storm also made it all the way up into Atlanta. Between Macon and Atlanta, it was actually a tropical storm. There was one person that I saw, took refuge in around Macon, and it was like last night. It was mentioned that the power was out. So it's kind of like. Yeah, granted, being in a tropical storm is a whole lot easier to deal with than a hurricane. But, it's still, if you're without power, that's, especially if it's hot like it is in Florida right now. I mean, that could be a real problem. So, I mean, it's like people, there were also some people were saying, hey, I had a flight out on Tuesday. Am I going to be able to make it? I'm like, yeah. Granted, I looked at online just a moment ago. Orlando Airport is open. But
limited.
It doesn't necessarily mean flights are going in and out right now. Every airline has to reposition their planes. That's going to take a while.
Yeah, Miami's open.
Good. I mean,
they're not really putting. I don't think they're moving. I think it's very limited. I know Tampa's very limited. Of what
is Miami open?
Miami is limited. I don't think anything's flying in or out, but they are open.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say I don't think planes come for another day or two if they have damage on something.
I mean, but that was one of the things I was telling people beforehand. I'm flying down. Should I? I go, what? You may not be able to. And here's the thing. I'm going to be really sincere. Disney is actually, from what I understand, I don't know any specifics, but I heard that Disney was being very generous in their policies for refunds. Things that they normally wouldn't refund, they refunded. Things like tickets and meal plan days and stuff like that. They actually did quite a bit to try to, compensate guests, so that they didn't have to pay for what they didn't get. And that's impressive. And Disney did not have to do that because it's right there. It's in their policies. But, at the same time, some people I know were very disappointed at having to, possibly change their plans because they couldn't reschedule their vacation, to come a couple days later. And I get it. I know Disney's been trying to do the best to try to reschedule it for down the road later. Sometimes it happens, but I don't know what else to say, but you know what? Those of you, don't be glad you weren't in the middle of it. So.
I saw another thing floating around today, and I was a little perplexed a little bit. A lady basically went out on one of the Disney forum sites and was basically berating people, saying, listen, we just got over a storm. Stop asking if it's okay to come down to Disney World. Okay.
Oh, I saw this. Go ahead.
I get a little bit where she's coming from. I get it. Like, all right, you guys just dealt with a lot of people lost their homes and everything like that. Coming from a shore town, when people ask if they can come down to the Jersey Shore after Sandy, we opened everybody with open arms. We want your money. It's a tourist attraction. You want people to come into town and spend money. That just helps rebuild businesses. And don't think I'm just berating this lady, because that's not what the point is. The point is, there was other people, whether they own small businesses or cast members, however you want to look at it, they were all very upset that this lady went out of their way. They want people down there. They want these airports to open. People want to go back to work. You got to understand, not every business can afford to pay their employees when they're not open. So people are literally sitting at home with no power, sweating in 95-degree weather, and aren't making a dime.
I saw that too. And, maybe the question is better asked as, is it safe for me to come down there? Am I going to be able to physically be able to get down there, either by car or by plane? Disney will be, more than happy to let, people come in, right now, and that's fine. Those people who are driving are going to have to take extra precautions. You see gas, you better be stopping to get it. That type of thing. If you're going to fly, you better talk to your airlines, because it may be an extra day or two before you can actually get out. Because don't forget, they're still trying to get people down there that couldn't get down there, that were originally scheduled to be down there. And you're trying to get people out that should have been out 2 days ago.
And I think something to say with the airlines is, even if you come down here, there's no guarantee it's going to be back to normal when it's time to go home. And you might be around a couple extra days.
Mm-hmm. That's what's happening right now for a lot of people. Even though MCO was open today for, it was more towards the afternoon. Everybody was asking on the internet, is the airport going to be open? Is the airport going to be open? I finally started telling people, listen, you got to look at the airport's website. You got to see what's going on. You got to talk to your airlines. They are the only ones that are going to be able to tell you definitively what their plans are. And I thought MCO was actually doing a really good job of trying to communicate with passengers. I thought Disney was doing a fantastic job with communicating with their guests. Different airlines had different ways of communicating. I don't know. I didn't look that far, so I can't comment. But I think from a communication standpoint, different organizations really did a lot better job than they have in the past in trying to talk to those that were tourists and impacted by the storm.
Brian, as we wrap up here, is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we get out of here?
I guess just repeat where I started, which is, if you're coming down and you're planning anything outside of Disney, you're going to want to double and triple check. Legoland has no clue when they're going to be reopening. They're one of the areas that probably doesn't have a power grid. Your offsite hotel, they might be open, but the restaurant next door, which is the only place to get food, if you're going to eat near the hotel, may not be open. So there's a lot of power outages, a lot of uncertainty, and if you're not staying on Disney property and stuff, it's going to be more of a challenge. Universal, similar. Universal themselves are fine. Once you step off Universal, you may not find power across the street.
Jeez. All right, well, we do appreciate you coming on once again, and thanks for everything you've done. Glad to hear you were safe and very minor damage. So once again, thank you so much, Brian, and have a wonderful evening, sir.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's wrap it up. Quick recap. Don't forget, if you would like to be part and donate and buy a shirt for Give Kids the World, go on the Disney community page or Stream the Magic page, Behind the Biggest Podcast page, anywhere. You will see the link. It is most likely going to be pinned up somewhere. And, all proceeds go directly to Give Kids the World. Like Chris mentioned before, we opened up our shop. You could find that on Behind the Ears Podcast. Go to the Behind the Ears Podcast page and look at the left-hand side at the bottom. It will say shop. You can click it. What we are currently offering right now is on sale for our opening day. We have 9 sets of pins. It's Yay Big Pins, Behind the Ears Podcast pins. They are 2 for $4, shipping included. With that being said, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook's Behind the Ears Podcast, Instagram Behind the Ears Podcast, and Twitter Behind the Ears PC. Any listener questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to join the Disney Community Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. But lastly, from me, as always, ladies and gentlemen, please go on iTunes and rate and review the show. And I see Scott saying here, save me a set of pins. I can't get them till Friday. Listen, if Friday comes around and they are sold out, do not fray. We will remind you this. That is just the first batch that we put on sale. We will be putting up our normal. We'll put up another batch once these all sell out. We just have to let them come in, you get mailed to me so I can ship them out to everybody. With that being said, guys, I'm Uncle Danny. I'm signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I mean, really, we really appreciate everything that you guys do for us in the sense of our, the communication and talking with us and letting us know what's going on. Hey, don't forget, subscribe to the show because I'll tell you what, you get it right when it comes out. And we're just starting to push them out again on a regular basis. You definitely want to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Even if you came in late today, you can always catch the whole thing in its entirety in its audio format. But I'll tell you what, we'll be back tomorrow night. And thank you so much for being with us. And until we meet again, take care.
Bye now.